Hey y'all, good morning, good morning, good morning. I gotta hurt Miss D over there waiting for me. Hold on, let me turn my radio. Hey y'all, hey. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am not gonna be on before you long. I got Miss D over there waiting on me. I said, hold on, Miss D, I'm coming. She over there waiting on me. But I wanted to jump on really quick. To just let you all know today. Listen. Listen, it's so much that I could tell you all this morning. As I was making my commute to work. Let me tell y'all, I've just been so tickled and overflowing with joy. I'm telling you, making my commute to work, I was just laughing pretty much all the way to work. I just could not stop smiling. You hear me? I just could not stop smiling. And it wasn't one of those laughs like Abraham and Sarah did, right? Like they didn't believe the report of the Lord when he said that they was going to have a child in their old age. It wasn't a laugh like that. It was more so, like I don't believe God, but it was more so like, just to think of the things that God has said that he's going to do in my life. And I was coming down the road this morning and looking at the houses and, the beautiful houses and just admiring the view on my commute this morning. I just began to be tickled, because God said that I will purchase my own house in my name. And as I drove past the houses, I just began to be tickled at what God has said. Like, Lord, me? What? And just trying to imagine in my mind, like, me? You know what I'm saying? I just blessed the Lord this morning, and I was coming down the road this morning and the tears just began to well up in my eyes, because, you go through things in life and sometimes you wonder, am I going to ever be at a place like, Lord, is it anything, better than where I am that you have for me? Like, is it even possible for me to have a good life? And I thought those things back in my teenage years, when I was going through, because even as a teenager, I knew that I was different. I knew that it was something different about me. I promise you, I knew it then, but I didn't know what it was. The old people say I couldn't put my finger on it, right? So I didn't know what it was. And so I went through and I had to endure some hard things and, and I didn't understand, I didn't understand my heart. Like, who has a heart like this? What? And, that's subject to people walking over it and you still got to smile and you still got to love. And I tell y'all the truth, when I think about all the things, that I had to endure, and now I'm at an age 52. And when I think about all that I had to endure, but when I think about the fact that it pleased him to bruise me, because that's what the word says. The word says that it pleased him to bruise us. And when I think about the glory, that God has gotten out of my life because I had to be bruised. I wouldn't trade anything about my life, because now that I have the understanding, I just bless his name. I just bless the Lord. And I just thank him, because when I look back over my life, I know that if it had not been for the Lord, I'm just so happy today. These are not tears of sadness. They are not tears of regret, but I can say that if I had to do it all over again, Jesus said for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. What? So when I look at everything that God has allowed me to accomplish, I tell you, it just literally blows my mind. When I was looking at those books that I had lined up on my table, and I'm like, Lord, what? Me? You use me to do this? And I just bless the Lord, for all that he has accomplished me, for all that he has allowed me. Okay, Miss D, for all that he has allowed me to be able to accomplish in this season. It's just mind blowing. It really is. So this morning, I think I done lost my page. Oh, I got it. This morning, I was sitting here, last night, and I was reading my book. Because I promise you all, like I've stated, when God gives me a word, then, I write down what God says, but then I go back and I study what he says. And so I was reading the book. The book was so good, y'all. I don't read the book. And I was reading this book, and I got to this part. I'm gonna share this with y'all. I got to this part, and it says that I'll start from right here. I said that there are times that no matter how much you pray about a situation, and I'm going to try not to cry. I had got to this part. I said, there are times that no matter how much you pray about a situation, God is silent. It never occurs to me that God is silent for a reason. I never even consider that because I just want what I want. So because he is silent, I then have to suffer through whatever I am facing until he decides to answer me. So in the process of waiting, the Lord allows the heat of the trial to be so great that it begins to challenge you mentally. He's not trying to make you quit at this point. He is trying to make you produce. What? He is trying to extract out of your life what he knows is there. He knows what he has placed on the inside of you. But even in all of that, God is still not answering you. And just when you did not think that things could get any worse, some other unexpected thing happens, and now you are at your breaking point, and you find yourself crying out to God valiantly for help. But God is still silent. What are you going to do? Here is where God is supposed to get the glory out of your suffering. Either you're going to turn away from God or you're going to endure the suffering. If your choice is to resolve to suffering or to endure, you must choose how you're going to do that. This is where your knowledge of the word comes into play because your situation is not changing. So you have the option of speaking to it and commanding it to move or continue to be silent and hope that something falls out of the sky. Listen. It is so good. Listen, it is so good. When I read my books, I take it piece by piece by piece. The book is so good that you could just fly through the whole book and read the whole book, but then you miss, some good information. You got to soak in the word. What? And the reason why I chose to read that part It's because yesterday, while I was at work, like I said, I went from having a few people to having a whole thing, to having a whole building. And so yesterday, because I'm still learning some things, and, it was pretty much like I'm just thrown out here, right? But won't God throw you in the fire? What? Won't he throw you in the fire? Because he knows what's in you. Think it not strange when you find yourself in this place, because God is trying to make you produce. He knows what he's put in you. And so I'm finding myself in there yesterday, and I'm like, everything was just chaotic, and here I am, a person of structure, because this is how God made me, but I'm finding myself in a chaotic situation. So now what do I do? Because remember, we are tried by the words of our own testimonies. So what do I do? Because here I am overwhelmed with the situation, and here the enemy comes to feed into your mind and say, you know what, you ain't got to, what? Just leave. You ain't got to deal with that. But me knowing who I am in Christ, me knowing the word, me knowing better, because I've been here before. Now I have to say to myself, okay, now either I'm going to let this thing overwhelm me, or either I'm going to get the victory over it. So now I have to open up my mouth, and I have to command these things to come in line with the word. Listen, y'all better come on here now. Because when you go through situations and circumstances, you can't run away from everything. Stop running away from stuff in your life and stand there and face it. Apply the principles of faith to whatever it is that you're dealing with, because the only way that the environment is going to change is that you're going to have to speak to it, right? The environment, and I used to tell my staff all the time, the environment is not supposed to change you. You are supposed to change your environment. So then what I had to do yesterday, and I had to say, okay, because you're not going to defeat me. No, I'm going to get some victory over this. So then, because it wasn't in order, then I had to create some, right? I had to create what I wanted to see, And so then I slowly just began to find my way. Because like I said, when God has a vision, a purpose for your life, he's not going to give you the whole thing right away. He may just give you a little bit, but then what you have to do, you have to take that little bit that he gave you, and you got to start working that thing. He might not tell you what to do, because he knows that he's already instilled that in you. So you got to do some work, right? You got to do the work. God is going to give you what you need to do this thing. But the figuring out of it, you got to do that. You got to do that. He's not going to do everything for you. You have to do that part. Like I said, when he gave me a faith that works, he didn't tell me what it all entails. He gave me enough. He said it's going to be worldwide. And that's all he said. He said a faith that works. It's going to be worldwide. I'm like, Lord, what do you mean? He didn't say nothing else. I had to figure out. He gave me enough to get started. Then I had to figure out what he wanted me to do with what he gave me. Look at the talents. He gave one person 5 talents. He gave one 2, and he gave one 1. You got to figure out what to do with it. The one with 5 when he got 5 more. The one with 2 when he got 2 more. But the one that had 1 went and buried what God gave him in the ground. What? I hope I am making sense, but I got to get out of this car because Miss D coming. Miss D is coming back, and she gonna get me if I don't get out of here. But look at Miss D. She tickles me. But what are you going to do with what God has already given you? And so I had to sit there yesterday and I had to listen to my own words that I come up here day after day after day. I had to work my faith. And let me tell you, when I left yesterday, I felt so accomplished because I won. I won because I did not let what I felt like I was dealing with consume me to the point of driving me out of here. And that's the same way you have to deal with life situations. God will allow you to go through something either on your job or your personal life or whatever because he's teaching you something. He's teaching you how to handle situations and circumstances that you may be faced with. You can't take off running every time you get to a hard place in life. No, you got to stand up in front of that thing and you got to tell it, okay, it's going to be me or you. And I don't plan on going nowhere, right? So let me get out of here. I love y'all. I hope that word helps somebody. But let me tell you, these books, what? I just bless the name of the Lord because it's nobody but God. I promise you. I thank God. I'm going to inch my way through this book and I'm going to sop up every piece of the word that I can because in this season, you better have faith. What? I love y'all. Have a blessed day.